Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm starting off stage. An unconventional start. And I'm not going to lie. I wasn't letting the opportunity to wear a Britney mic and start this talk off in true pop diva fashion pass me by. But I actually have a more legitimate reason for this. I'm starting off stage where you can hear me, but not see me, because I'd like you to focus on my voice for a minute. And I'll ask you now to reflect on what you feel like you've learned or decided about me already, from the 80-something words I've said. You've gathered that I'm an English speaker. You've probably realised that I'm not from Belfast, where we are today. Perhaps you've even made a good guess at where I did grow up. Maybe you've thought, oh yeah, she sounds like a lecturer. Or maybe the exact opposite thought has come to mind. You might have started to pull together a mental image of me, how tall I am, how I dress, how old I am. Research shows that we're actually pretty good at that. We can make pretty accurate guesses about a person's age from their voice alone. But how many of these judgments are based in fact? How many of these assumptions will actually turn out to be true? There are lots of characteristics and traits that we associate with how people use language, whether it's written, spoken, or signed. And as a researcher in sociolinguistics, this is what I'm interested in, and have spent close enough to a decade exploring. The judgments we make about people based on how they use language. Some of them might be quite flattering. You have a lovely accent. Doesn't he speak so clearly? But others can be more damaging. Certain accents are associated with criminal behaviour, for example. Bad grammar is often seen as a sign of sloppiness and a lack of intelligence. These judgments are not facts. They're learned behaviours. And they're linked to what we're taught from a young age about correct and incorrect language. And the thing is, what we judge as correct and incorrect is really just a jumble of decisions over time and a lot of happenstance. For example, the prestigious accent in England would be the one spoken in the South, what we might call BBC English. But why? Well, historically, this is where social, political, and economic power has been held, around London, Oxford, Cambridge, the locations of Parliament, prestigious universities, and public schools. The Southern English accent is prestigious because it was the one spoken by the people with power. If these institutions and people had been in Newcastle, then it would be Geordie English we were teaching to children and other learners of English. Because there is nothing inherently good or bad about Geordie English or BBC English. No linguistic reason to choose one over the other. Rather, these are ideas we've been taught, learned social norms. But regardless of this fact, these judgments do exist. Very few of us, I'm sure, don't have some ideas about what is good and bad language. And it's no wonder, because these ideas are everywhere. This messaging is around us all the time. It's not just in dictionaries and grammars, and it's absolutely not just teachers and grumpy old pedants who are correcting us. It's in the films and series we watch, the podcasts we listen to, the books we read. It's even in the graffiti on the wall of your local pub toilet. And today I'd like to share with you some examples from music. And this is where I get to the person that I lured you here with, Sabrina Carpenter. In her song Slim Pickings, Carpenter sings the following. Jesus, what's a girl to do? This boy doesn't even know the difference between there, and they are. Carpenter's lyrics, alongside that song title, Slim Pickings, suggest that a person with bad grammar is not a good option for a partner. Don't fret too much for this guy, though. The next line is, yet he's naked in my room. So despite the negative judgment, things are going pretty well for him. Some additional popular culture context. This is seemingly a dig at an ex of Carpenter, someone who once tweeted, when people don't act their age, and that's T-H-E-R-E. Targeted or not, Carpenter's lyrics, alongside that song title, suggest that a person with bad grammar does not make a good partner. And this messaging isn't hidden. It's clear and it's explicit. Language and sexual attraction comes up in another of Carpenter's songs, Bedchem. And this time, we're talking likely about a different ex, a certain Irish actor, perhaps? Carpenter sings, who's the cute boy with the white jacket and the thick accent? Like, maybe it's all in my head, but I bet we'd have really good bed chem. Here, having a certain accent is associated with sexual chemistry. The boy's thick accent is sexy to Sabrina. And whilst I'm sure he doesn't mind this judgment, the problem with positive value judgments like these is that if we have sexy accents, on the other side of the coin, we have unsexy accents. The positive judgments exist alongside negative counterparts. A similar and final example, this one is for those of you who are less familiar with Sabrina Carpenter's back catalogue. This one is from Blackstreet's 1996 song, No Diggity. They sing, attracting honeys like a magnet, giving him eargasms with my mellow accent, true poetry. Once again, having a certain accent, this time a mellow one, is presented as something positive, something that attracts honeys and causes eargasms. The examples I've shared here all relate to sexual prowess, but as I mentioned earlier, these judgments are much more wide-reaching, and these judgments matter. They have real-life consequences. When we judge someone's accent or correct their grammar, we're contributing to a system that excludes people. Using language correctly is seen as valuable, and those who fall short of this expected correct use often find themselves judged negatively and discriminated against. This discrimination can take a whole host of forms. The credibility of your well-structured and feasible business plan coming into question because of a couple of grammatical errors. Being overlooked for a job opportunity or promotion because you just don't sound quite right. The dismissal of testimony in a criminal trial because the witness's accent isn't particularly trustworthy. All because we've been taught there's only one right way to use language. When preparing for this event, one of my wonderful colleagues shared something that they were anxious about. They were worried that their accent, because of where they come from in terms of region and social class, doesn't sound professional. That it doesn't belong here, on the TEDx stage. That is one of the many effects of these judgments, and that is why this matters. We all have a role in dismantling language bias. My hope is that by raising awareness of these judgments and of their presence in popular culture, we can remove some of their power. Sometimes these judgments can be so casual, so fleeting, they can be quite easy to miss. The effects of them, though, much less so. They shape who is heard, who is dismissed, and who is valued. To return then to the title of my talk, is Sabrina Carpenter saving the English language? In a society where we're taught from a young age that there are right and wrong ways of using language, and that a person's value can be judged through their adherence or not to these rules, maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe the question we should really be asking is, at what cost? Thank you for listening.